Okay, did you say something? Make sure I'm picking you up.
Oh, I don't know what to say now.
If you just,
use the headphones.
Oh, boy, isn't that something?
if you just state your name, for starters.
My name is Daniel Brown.
And we're at your home here in Sunderland today. What you were just telling me about the show barn down at Patterson Park.
Oh,
the old show barn.
The old show barn. I liked it back then better than I did the new one because it was so like a house during that time, a beautiful home. They had running water streaming at the windows and screen doors, and they had radio playing for the cattle mostly at all times. And we kept everything clean, new bed for the show cattle every day. And we had to put the polish on the hoof, like fingernail polish. And it was really good. So anyway, he had one young prize bull that he had bought.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow we was up to clean it. This bull got mad all of a sudden. So they were going to put a ring in his nose, Mr. Houghton and I. So we had it tied, had a halter on him, and this halter under the neck had a ring in it. So they had the foot in this ring and he tied to a post, and they really going to do tie to another post that's the opposite to keep him from hurting anyone. Before he could tie, the bull jumped and broke his neck. And killed him right there in the barn. And so Mr. Houghton told me to just drag him down the hill and throw him away. And I said, no, I was going to skin this bull. So he watched me. So I taken the block and tackle and the team and the team of horses and pulled him up in the tree and then tied it. And I went to skin him. Mr. Houghton got in his station wagon, went down and got some of the sheets and good knives. And he stood and watched me skin that bull and never gave me a piece of it. So our neighbor was working there on the place. So he sold us. He sold me a piece for 25 cents a pound. And if I had skinned it and he wanted to throw it away, and I've been working hard there on that place with the cat.
And how much were you making at that time?
Oh, well, he paid me by a month. I was getting $50 a month. And I had a family. But we were cutting corn by hand for a silo. And to fill up the silo. And so me and some other fellow were cutting, and he said, well, since y'all work so good, I don't have heart to charge you for the beef. Since y'all work so hard in the corn. Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, now there at the barn where I milk, at the dairy barn where I milk those cows, come there early in the morning and milk those cows. And, Mr. Houghton, in fact, the only time I got any milk to take home to my children, when Mr. Houghton is not nowhere around, then his wife would give it to me. Or a bucket of clabber, or something like that, his wife would give it to him. But if he's around, if anything like that, if he sees it around, he'll throw it in the trough for the chicken. I throw it in the pig pen.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't give it away.
Now, you mentioned earlier the architect Gertrude Sawyer. Did you ever actually meet her?
Oh, yes, sure. I know Miss Sawyer. For I know, but I don't guess she even married, not yet, because she wasn't married then.
Uh-huh. She turns 101 next month.
101, sure, right? Good. Sure, I know Miss Sawyer, Miss Millhound.
2 years ago, she was good for that age.
You know Miss Millhound?
No.
Well, she was the lady who used to come around and would take the assessment of everything. You know, to check up on everything, anything. See what's there and see if it would be there when you get back. Yeah.
What was her name?
Miss Milholm.
Milholm. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yes, I know Miss Sawyer. Miss Sawyer. Well, see, Miss Sawyer built, you remember Mr. Garrity place?
Yeah.
You know down there, you turn on Cold Farm?
Right.
And go all back on Cold Farm. So it used to be Mr. Garrity's. You know, all the way back in there. In fact, it used to be Mr. Money. Miss Sawyer built that. And she was there.
I heard that.
Yeah, she built that.
What year was it you started working at Point Farm?
It was 19, I'll tell you what, at Point Farm, it was 19 and within 1941. But after Mr. Howden, I didn't stay there too long.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, that's the year I stopped, I didn't stay there too long because they were working on the Pentagon. And so then I went working at the Pentagon.
Right.
And see, after Charles, maybe I shouldn't have called her name, this fellow, the white fellow, told me what Mr. Houghton said when I went down to pick his car to the garage.
Right.
And then Charles left. He left because now he made me as mad as Mr. Houghton did, because I went down and told him in the field that Mr. Houghton said that I was the best hand that he had on the farm, that he'd never said nothing to all like that about me. And Charles said that, well, what that make me? He said, make me nothing. So I didn't say it, but I got a little kind of mad with him for saying that. But after that, I kept all these things in mind of what he had done. And so he got a job at the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
And then he told me, he said, come on, go with me. You make 87.5 cents an hour. I said, all right, boy. And so Mrs. Houghton said, Dan, I said, I went in with Houghton and I said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to work at the Pentagon. She said, don't go. She said, if you go, I'm going to leave too. And sure enough, she did.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of him. She said, because I'm in misery anyway, but just to have someone to talk to. And once in a while, if you leave, I'm going to leave too. And she did. She was a nice person, but Mr. Houghton was so bad. You know, and he got married. He was going with this girl. He was married 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got married with him until after. I really, until Mrs. Patterson had written up a paper on him. And I heard someone reading this paper. And Mrs. Patterson said, and Mr. Houghton is a nice fellow, a nice man. And I know just the opposite way about it.
Was Houghton there working at the farm when you started working there?
Mm-hmm, yeah, he was there.
Okay. So did you actually work for Mr. Baxter?
No, but I told him that. I told a mother that worked for Mr. Baxter, and he was telling me, and everybody was telling me Mr. Baxter, because, you see, when Mr. Baxter was there, he shared everything with the people working on the farm. Instead of throwing the stuff away, this was shared with the people. Yes, they killed all these hogs or something, it was shared with the people that works there. Mm-hmm. And often give the people that work, because that's all the farm. It wasn't there for profit. You see, they never made no profit on the farm. It was just there just for a show, you know. And it was a show then at that time. It was a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful. We would keep the weed and stuff down, all underneath the fence.
Yeah.
And everything was so beautiful. Everything was so clean. No paper, nothing thrown around.
That chestnut rail fence.
Mm-hmm.
Was that up when you were working there?
Oh, yes, but yeah. Oh, yes, we had to keep on. But they were constantly buying new and putting up new fence. And I had to put up a lot of that fence. It was nice working there.
Yeah.
Great.
What year was it that you left?
I think within 41. 41, while we were working on the Pentagon.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So how long were you at Point Form? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
How long was I over there? I wasn't there for very long, but a couple of years or something. But with a lot of work, a lot of hot sun and everything. Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Houghton was still alive, I guess, when you left.
He was still alive. He was still alive when I left. And I went to his wake. And they had that the hospice had his body.
Uh-huh.
And I went to his wake. And he had his 3 wives was there, and his 3 daughters, and myself. Huh? He had 3 daughters.
Yeah, they had a baby.
His baby child was there by his 3rd wife, and her name was Ethel too.
Yeah.
She was a William.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe no,
2 daughters by his first wife.
2 daughters by his 1st wife, 1 daughter by his 3rd wife, and that was all the people there was at his funeral, at his wake. His 3 wives and 3 daughters and myself. I just went there just to pay respect to his wife. Mm-hmm. That is the fact.
What year was that? Do you remember?
He
Oh,
was still living when we moved over to Mr. Tillman.
we were at Mr. Tillman.
Because
Yeah.
I used to
Down on-
still
right
wash
down-
for him.
You
We
see?
were at Mr. Tillman. I used to still
You
wash.
still work for him?
I still washed his clothes when I was over Mr. Tillman.
And he'd come over there and beg us to come back, beg me to come back. Say, I'll give you $100 a month. But I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that we stayed at Commander Shop's place for quite a few years before we moved to Mr. Tillman.
Well, yeah.
Where was Tillman's place?
Mr. Tillman, down on Battle Creek. That's a beautiful place down there. They're good, nice people, very nice. Mr. Tillman, Mrs. Tillman, they didn't have but 1 son. He still lived down there. And they had all this, he sold it. You should go down there.
George Tillman is his son?
George
I
Tillman.
know George Tillman.
Yeah, George
He's
Tillman.
the son of the people you work for?
Yeah.
Small world.
And that's us, yeah, his mother and father.
That is a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I used to live right in that house right there.
The house is gone down now.
No, it's not. That house is right there, and the man that owned it built a brick house that's on this, right, it's on this side of it.
That's where we lived in and so on.
No, it's not.
That house is not sitting there anymore.
Oh, yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Oh, you see, have you been down there?
Yes.
That house is okay. I think somebody living in that house.
No,
Yes, it is.
no one lives in that house.
I think, well, wait a minute, honey. I think, because that man, before you get to the house,
Uh-huh.
well, the man that owned that house got this beautiful long brick house. I can't think of his name because I even been in his house. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
the old brick house?
No,
Or is that new
no,
brick house?
right down beside. You go right straight on down, like go to Mr. Tillman.
Right.
And I lived right that last one house around the corner before you get to Mr. Tillman. That little old.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not placing that. No, I just know the house where George Tillman lives now.
You know what about? Okay, before you get to Mr. Where George Tillman living at now, you drive down and you make a sharp right turn to go down. But I was right there to the left, right there.
Okay.
There's kind of little white.
I don't think I looked at
But you
it.
can't help from seeing it because of the little white bungalow.
Go right around.
It's a little white bungalow and it's a brick house before you, right there beside it before you get there. Yeah. They
I
down
was
that corner.
thinking about down Commander Shop. That house is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that was right on the water, right on that little curve to go down. You know,
So when did you go to work for Mr. Tillman? When did you go live down there?
well, I came, and then I worked for, was it
Yeah,
Miss-
50. 51. Every year that every one that was gone.
But see, before then, I worked on Mr. Garrity. not for Mr. Gary, for Mrs. Nielsen.
Uh-huh.
Mrs. Nielsen, see, her husband was an ambassador too. And so Mrs. Nielsen, she built this house unknown to her husband. Her husband didn't know she was building it, you know, she just built it while he was overseas. He was in Germany, and she built this house, and I was working for her. And Miss Sawyer was the architect.
Uh-huh.
And after I had it up, and everybody had a pump house for that. I was cutting down this tree. I didn't know anything about it. And she taken a moving picture of me, and sent it over to her husband in Germany. And so he came home, and he said, Dan, he said, I seen you in the movies when I was in Germany. And he said, you was cutting down the tree right there. And he said, and I told my wife, as far as I'm concerned, she could lay off everybody there, fire everybody there except you, keep you. And so he had he had a boat built. I don't know how much he paid for it. It was a skiff, you know, a rowboat. And he sold it to me, brand new, the boat, everything. He just named everything, of the oars and the oar lock, the rope and all, for $1. For $1. A beautiful brand new skiff.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. He saw me in Germany while he had his boat built and sold it for $1. Yeah. He was pretty nice. Well, his wife was very nice. Wife, he had 2 children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you were talking last week about Point Farm, and I know you were paid by the month, but you talked about piecework, shelling corn, checking corn by the bushel.
Yes. Well, you see, between Mr. Houghton's house on the river, this would be a long, big farm, and that was the cornfield.
Right.
And he would hire women. The women would shuck corn. We'd make this extra money. This started in the month of September, and we would shuck corn and shuck corn. And you shuck corn by the barrel. And it was 25 cents a barrel. And it takes, anyway, I was measuring this corn up. And I was measuring this corn, and Mr. Houghton, he was sitting in it, and I had to go by his house, and he was sitting there by the windows. I was going by, but I had been doing it for a long time. Mm-hmm. So he came out and asked me one day, he said, Dan, he said, how many barrels of corn you got on the wagon? And so I told him. He said, no, he said, that ain't right. He said, I had done it for a long time. I have done it 1,000 times or more. He said, the wagon won't hold that much corn. I said, yes, it does, Mr. Hope. So he taken the team and carried out there and measured this corn up himself. And after he got through measuring, he said, but I told you, he said, this wagon wouldn't hold. What have you been doing? He said, I said, Mr. Hedman, you're giving 10 bushels to a barrel. And it only take 9 bushels for a barrel. Oh, he said, no, he said, that's what it is. It's 10 bushels to a barrel. I haven't done it 1,000 times. I know. I've been doing it. Take 10 bushels to a barrel. Mr. Hedman, it's not. And so I didn't like that, you see. And he went in and called the county commissioner, and they told him 9 bushels to a barrel. And then he come out and told me, yeah, this is 9 bushels to a barrel, but it got to be piled up, he said. Boy, oh boy.
So they were getting an extra bushel?
Yes. And the mayor said they had to pay the insect to shuck corn. And Mr. Patterson, Ms. Patterson was so rich, and they wasn't getting anything for it. No way, you know, they wasn't getting any nickel out of that, you know, for that concern. It was purely just to help, you know, have the farm, just to have something, and he was cheating those poor people. I'm telling you, let me tell you, they had liquid in the bathtub and stuff in the doghouse. And poor people couldn't get liquid. We couldn't even get liquid. And then they were cheating us on corn, on shucking corn. I thought it was the worst thing I ever seen the other day. It never worried me when he got killed.
Yeah.
No, you know, his man would do something like that. That is no, it's true. Yeah.
Still right in his yard.
Hmm?
Right in the yard of his house. Did you
Is
know
that where, on a track? I heard it was.
Yeah, on the tractor. The tractor's still there too.
Uh-huh.
That old farm old tractor. Hmm?
And what happened?
Well, he sometimes he like to get on the, show off, but he's a big boy. And he come around out real fast and hit his brother-in-law's car. And the tractor turned over on him and squashed him.
Did his brother-in-law live down there too?
No. No. He had their nice home. Everything. But it's a shame though at the way, but 9-10 bushels to a barrel, that's what he was charging, but that's what they did all over because the Orchard House done the same thing. See, that's the only people who worked in the Orchard House I have never known in my life that one white man shucking oysters. And I'm mad that he got something on the side because they shucked in a 9-pint bucket.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and so they're paying the owner for shucking oysters.
And they sold him in a
They sold them in 8-pint, and they sold them in 8-pint.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They shuck them in a 9-pint bucket and sold them in an 8-pint. When they put them in the blower to wash them, and when they shuck them, when they measure them up dry, the water and stuff. And then they add the water to them when they sell them. And then the oysters bigger because they put them in this blower and they blow them up. And so really, people shucking oysters for nothing. Mm-hmm.
When you were first married, you lived at Mrs. Brown's mother's house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were you doing any? You had mentioned taking crabs down there, and was that just for your own use? And
my brother, he was selling things on the road, and we would sell it to him
on the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in fact, he never paid us in a decent price, but we did it.
Okay.
We went every day.
We used to go down the shore and catch these crabs.
Yeah.
And we sell them I gave a sister and her nephew, her brother's son, and her brother. We catch all these. You could catch a lot of soft crab then around the shore. Go down the shore and soft crab, you know how to look for them, and I gave them all them know. But they were selling for 15 cents a dozen. No, I had some to a brother,
I didn't even get paid for them. It didn't matter.
And then, you know what?
Getting rid of them.
You take the crab out and sell them for $1 a dozen and come back and say, and we didn't pay them. We didn't pay the truth a lot of times. Say, the tractor died, crab died on me, I can't pay you. And that's something I told him, he should bring the crab back in. Mm-hmm.
Talking about Walbert, when you were living at her mother's, how did you get to Point Farm? Did you go across the water? Or
No. I could walk. I could walk by land.
Uh-huh.
Well, when I know, but getting from your mother house to Point Farm, I always walk right by Miss House. Now, there was another house between Point Farm and the mother house. In between there.
Uh-huh.
Right beside Point Farm. Then there was maybe some parts of that left. There was the old log house. I used to pass there. They had where the slaves would stay in. They didn't have no floor in it.
That's where Mama was born there. Up on the hill.
No, up on the hill. I used to walk by there.
Mr. Patterson.
It don't have no floor. It didn't have no floor in it. Just
Do you think was that on Point Farm property?
Yeah, it's on Point Farm property.
Okay.
Uh-huh. It's right behind where the dairy barn is.
Yeah.
On the
There on the hill.
Yeah, we're back up on that hill right from where the dairy barn is.
That's where Mama was born there. You had to come out.
I ain't talking about the shore barn now.
No, I know the
dairy barn right down where the house with Mr. Howden's
one
living.
that says 1932 on it.
Yeah, uh-huh.
You had to come out those to get upstairs and go up upstairs from the outside.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I heard Mama say
who?
you came outside
What?
to get to upstairs in the house, in the old
That locked.
That house didn't have. I was thinking, I mean, mine had, but I didn't think so. It didn't have that one door and one room there. And then,
upstairs, and they came outside to crawl upstairs to the window.
and it had the hard clay floor.
Right.
That's where my mother was born. I never went there in the house, but I do know that's where she was born because I heard her talk about it.
I had an aunt that lived in mine. And it's from right there where Joseph Seidel lived at now on Plum Point Road. Now she lived. My aunt, my father's sister, lived in the old log house with the stone chimney. I think she had 6 little children. I think Elijah was Wifton, Norris, Edward, Elijah, John, and one little girl. But the baby girl died. All of them was right there in that house. One room. And this stone fireplace, dirt floor. And that was my father's sister. She was real dark. And the man where they rented the farm, where they were living there, had 2 children by her. And his children, I know the children. His children living in the big house. And his other 2, he had 2 children. Other children were sleeping on the dirt floor. That's the God's truth.
Yeah. I suspect that happened quite
That's
a bit.
that's the Lord's truth. Yes, and the little girl died of this man. I remember seeing him, but she didn't live too very long. But this boy, he was the father of. He'd have been 76 years of age if he'd been living there. But he just died just a few years ago. And left his home, my home, left it to one of my sons. One of my sons has his home now in Washington on Maryland Avenue.
Speaking of age, how old are you?
About 1916, October the 3rd.
Well, you're going to have a big birthday this year.
So I can't wait till I get 80 years of age. I'll soon be 79. But I'm so glad that my heart stayed with me.
No, not 79.
78.
It's 78.
78, yeah. 78. Until this year. I really feel like I can't do like I used to. I know I can't do like I used to.
Another question. When you were living down in Wallville, where did you go to shop? Did you?
Well, all the way up on the corner with Pine Road. But with the store, that was the store right there on that corner.
Where did the store stand?
Well, made the turn on Pine Road, the store would be there to the left. Now it's still there.
That yellow house?
That old yellow place there.
Okay. Who ran that store?
Oh, talking about Mr. Hardesty, Norris Hardesty. Norris Hardesty. He was a nice fellow. He had a brother named Thomas Hardesty. Father name was Till Hardesty.
And did you get most every kind of thing you needed up there, or?
No. Mr. God had a little store closer.
And Tom Maker.
Well, he didn't have nothing.
Well, he went there anyway.
I didn't know. Mr. Johnny God, Jones out there, the reliable.
Yeah.
Well, his grandfather had a little store before you get there to the left. The farm there belongs to the God, and the rest of it behind that all belongs to the parent.
Right.
Well, Mr. Johnny got his name. He was a nice fellow, honest. He had a little store there. He was real nice old man. He was the oldest man within the county.
Wow. Was there ever? I know the schools were segregated, but was there ever an issue? What about doing business like with the stores? Was that ever a problem for black people in the community?
No, it wasn't a problem for dealing at the store. Most of the storekeepers were pretty nice people. some of them weren't honest. We had one right here. It wasn't honest at all. Right here. He put his hand on the scale, and he wasn't honest at all.
You mentioned Tom Mako. You told a story too about the getting access back to the Gross property. Did that road run through Mako's land, or how did that work?
Well, when you drive down to get into Ikeevan place, you drive down Mako's Road until get down almost down to the water. You have to turn right to go through the gate. And Mr. Mako had a gate there. And that gate stayed there. Where he had anything in the field at all, he had this gate there because he wants you to open and close that gate when you went in there. And so one thing I didn't like about it, and he drove some nails and sharpened those nails with a file and tacked that board up against there. So when you open the gate, you don't think it, and you will stick those nails in your hand. And he kept it, and he would turn his sheep, and see, he would put sheep to go in that field. And keeping for him going out, open the gate, and let the sheep in, he cut a hole in the fence, in the wire fence, so the sheep go back and forth in that field, but they didn't open the gate. But he left the gate there for anybody to go in. You
had to deal with that every day.
You have to deal with that all the time. All the time you have to deal with that. He was just that kind of man. And his wife was no better. that is a fact. And we didn't let no one have liquor down. And you know, I told a brother on weekend he had license. He get weekend license because the people would come down around the water, and he was selling beer. And he kept all this crab, and he's selling crab sandwiches and beer and hard crab and his steam. But we didn't have liquor. And the pole went right across, wasn't on Ikeevan property, but right across there from him. And he had liquor in his cow barn and everything. He would never have liquor. Then I didn't want no black to have liquor. Because up on top of the hill from them, didn't have liquor down there. Up on the hill from Jeter built a house. He was the finance secretary in the union. And by that time, you know, well, they had the other regular electric line. This, the first line, was a power line that Mr. Patterson had run through. Then when the other electric came through, Jeter built his house, nice big brick house, so he wanted electric. And some new maker told me he couldn't have it. And then he went and seen Goldstein. But look at me, Mr. Goldstein being the county controller, looked like he would have known better, would have done better. And he went see Mr. Goldstein. Mr. Goldstein come back and told him, said, well, I'm afraid you can't get it because Ms. Maker don't want you to have it. And he said, well, I'm going to get it because if the telephone pole here on my property, we could put it on that pole. Well, they ain't going to let you do that. He said, well, I can cut that pole down. But anyway, he got it. He got the electric. But he was the only black that I know. He's the only black that I know that got electric down. So you'd be surprised how many little houses were down through there. It all was black. Right down there, close, on top, right down there. And none of them had no electric.
Do you remember about what year it was that Mr. Jeter got electric?
Oh, this was around Now, it was in the 60s or 70s, something like that.
Is that right?
Dude, that's the truth. Yes, that was the truth. I think that was in the, the 60s or 70s. You know, I had this, when G built down there and got electric.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, I had a 62 Chevrolet. And this was around the 70s, I think, when he got electric. 65 or 70. That's the fact.
You know, my sister was just told me a moment ago. You told me to tell you about the old vessel that was laid up in our cove.
Oh, the sunken vessel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nickel Cove?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, laid up there for years, and they took it out a few years ago and carried it to Simon's Island. And it's down there now. They got it down there.
They got, I don't know about that. They got some parts, some stuff from out there.
Don't they have the boat down there, Simon's
I
Island?
don't think, but they got some of the boat motors and some other anchors and that kind of stuff. They got it in the museum because I seen it down in there.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I read that report.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
They got some parts of that vessel or something.
Were
Like
there other sunken boats you knew about?
That was.
that's one of them, but there were the others too. But a lot of others down there.
That was the only one that I can remember.
You see, then the black have land on water, and they would come from all up in the forest because the black were the only people that was catching oysters, and they would keep the boat down there because it's a good boat harbor. The wind couldn't get to them, keep the boat down, keep the boat there, and they didn't have no place that they could pull the boat up and have it clean, so the deep water in there. And they would pull the boat close to the shore when the tide come up. But they let the boat fall over on the side and they'll clean the boats and everything right down up on the shore. And paint it and all and put it back over. They do it all at themselves. And some old boats would go bad and just rot and just stay right there. And they had a lot of boats. They had a lot of, old boats.
Another question. Did you know anything about the polling house up Mutual at LaVille Road and Brooms Island Road? You're told there used to be a polling.
Well, there's a polling up there, but I'm the people vote there. I guess they still vote there, that polling house, don't
No, that house is gone.
That house is gone?
Yeah.
But there's one there and one in St. Leonard.
There was the one in St. Leonard. The reason I ask is I was looking at the record book for the one in St. Leonard, and lots of black people voted there who lived in Wallville. And I was wondering why.
But because that would be jurisdiction, that's where they get the mail from. St. Leonard's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they got the mail from St. Leonard's. And now, the people over there, down Creek get the mail from St. Leonard's. You see.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get the mail from St. Leonard's. But at first, they didn't. They got the mail from Mutual, I think it was. Yeah, that's the reason why that is. And then before then, Nickel had a little telephone. Nickel had I had a little post office right there, and he had a little old store there. But they got the mail from St. Leonard.
Everything traveled so slow during that time. You didn't get your mail till around 4 o'clock or later. And during the day, you would go over to St. Leonard's with the horse and buggy, and get the mail and bring it back down to make a. And then you go there and get the mail.
Did you know Asbury by any chance?
Yeah, I know Mr. Asbury. We had 2 sons.
2 sons and 2 daughters.
He had 2 daughters. I know he had 1 daughter.
Asbury and Sherwood Asbury.
Yeah, I know Mr. Asbury.
They were going to separate schools. Right. We both were going to the same time.
I know him. I didn't know his brother. His brother was one that owned that farm. His brother was, he invented a machine gun. And he sold it to the Germany. Sold the pattern out, and somehow or another, I think he locked him out. He killed himself, I believe. Asbury brother, the one that owned the farm. And I know him.
Mm-hmm.
I know Mr. Asbury from North Carolina.
You know, you think about down in Louisville, there used to be so many houses, so many color homes were down there. When I was young as a child, it was a pleasure to live there. But now there's nothing down there. That Lane House, much as well, is the only house down there. Only color home down there.
Only black place down there. That's right there. That's Joint Point Farm.
And yeah, and they.
Did you know that? That's Joint Point Farm. That's right on this end of Point Farm. You know, Beverly got the house there. We turn right there between Beverly and then go back there. And that's on the back end of Point Farm, you know, Asbury Farm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's my brother's place.
Your brother's place?
My brother.
And this still, and it looked nice back there.
Yeah. What's his name?
Alfred Groves, but he did now.
Uh-huh.
I've been begging him not to sell it.
Yeah.
I've been begging him not to sell it.
Well, the Beverleys were there when you were working there, right?
Yeah, Beverly, Levi Beverly, that's his name. Yeah, yeah.
I know I
Levi Beverly. You know, he worked there at Point Farm. And he's worked there. He didn't do much. Him and Mr. Hayden was great buddies. They didn't do nothing. They would travel around together. They didn't do anything. So he went in the service. And when he came back out, you see, now that land, that strip of land with that road that run all down through there, they give that to Mr. Hayden. All the time. The Patterson did that. But Mr. Hayden had his farm. That was Mr. Hayden's farm. But when Mr. Hayden got killed, they taken this back, got it back somehow or another, and taken Mr. Hayden's youngest baby, and put this child through school. And well, I know they did a lot for the child. And the house on that up on that corner, so they give that to the baby boy. So he got a home. That's what I get at. That's what I don't like. The people that done the work for nothing didn't get nothing no kind of way. They didn't get nothing. They didn't get nothing. The one that done all the hard work. Someone who didn't do nothing, that's the people that got this stuff. And it was hard. And I know that. Oh, that cold weather, the cold days in the working food with and them hot days, having that hay and stuff with the pitchfork and that and the bone. Boy, I tell you, in that cornfield, cutting that corn, all the black done the work and got nothing. Let's see, got nothing. I mean, they cheating on chucking corn.
Who all were some of the other people besides yourself and your wife who worked down at that farm? Well,
it was so many. Most of them is dead now. I think, you know, Miss Hattie Brown, I think, and your aunt, yes, and Bernice, and the straighteners, and some of the straighteners, and oh gosh, boy, it was some and the Grams and there was a lot of people, you know.
I have a question too about the right there on the road where Patterson put in that dam to run across a ravine there, straighten the road all the way out so you could go all the way out to the Asbury place and where Beverly has his home.
Yeah.
We hear tell there used to be a house down there, someone named Bowen, and then that's where Tom Fowler lived. Do you know anything about that house that was down there?
Well, the house down, as you make the left, go to the water. Well, that house there, that straightaway road that we're talking about,
right?
And before you get to Mr. Asbury,
yes,
and to the left, well, the family people that own that were called Delru.
Okay.
And Mr. Delru, he was a big man in Haiti.
In Haiti.
And before Mr. Delru bought this place, see, Mr. Delru bought this place from Mr. Ben Parent. That one belongs to Mr. Ben Parent. And all up there, that old house up there, I think the Boone lived at, all that and down with Delroot, all belongs to the Ben, but Mr. Delroot bought it. And then after he got it for a while, and Mr. Patterson bought that.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, that's
Bought it from Delroot.
That's what we call a King's Reach house. But
Uh-huh.
there was an older house before that. You know where the tobacco barn is below the show barn? The old show barn.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Right down between that tobacco barn and the water. Was there another house?
Yes, there was another house. I think Mr. Ernest Fowler used to live in that house. They were just sitting next to the left. It was an old house. I don't know what become of that house. That house just fell down.
It's gone. Yeah.
It's gone now. It kind of close to Mr. Delroot property, but it had trees in between that. It was right in that little corner back in there. You know, Ben Fowler and all of them, you know, Mr. Ernie Fowler. He used to live there. I remember when they lived there.
Did they work for the Pattersons too?
He worked on that farm. Yeah, they worked for the Pattersons. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they worked for the Pattersons. Yeah. They was white. Didn't know black lived on Patterson.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That answers it.
But I wish I had went back though, because after we was over to Mr. Tillman, Mr. Howden came and told me that he'd give me $100 a month and that house down at Delroot to live in. And what else he would give me, I could raise 2 hogs, something, and feed off the farm and stuff to feed, and I could have a few chickens. And he really wanted me to come back, but I didn't go back but then I got to thinking about it. I wish I had it, you know. Then again, I might be better off.
You were better off.
But here I was thinking about, now, Mr. Patterson did all these people something. And if I worked there, looked like he would have given me something.
Maybe not.
And maybe not.
You never know.
And maybe not.
Did you ever work in the house, in the Patterson house?
I too did.
Okay.
I have done little things, you know, but not really where I worked around the house. Yeah, I worked around there.
And did you ever actually meet the Pattersons?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Mr. Patterson, when he came there one time we didn't see him, but every once in a while, because it's very seldom he ever comes. But you know, Miss Sawyer bought him a big packard, because he was coming home. Patterson was coming, and they bought him a big packard, a chauffeur, and all this stuff. Boy, he wasn't there for another 2-3 days. He was gone. Yeah, he would come down and he would walk. He would walk up the road up by the barn and walk back. He didn't pay no attention. He didn't pay no attention to anything. Miss Patterson hardly showed herself during that time. Just get in there and hope they wish she stayed. No, if I see.
Where's Mrs. Patterson?
Most of the time she lives in Washington, D.C. Yeah, she comes down maybe twice a year.
Mr. Patterson's sister killed herself.
Really? I didn't know.
She's on Kimona Farm across the river, on the other side of the river.
Right.
Mm-hmm. She jumped out the window and killed it. She had cancer or something. I remember when she jumped out the window. She had one son, her husband, and she jumped. But he said, I haven't been to the farm. I wanted to go to it. But Captain P. Grover said that him and I was going over there one day, but I think we forget it. But Mr. Grady told me that Mr. Patterson farm down at Point Farm, but no test to his sister farm, said Kimona Farm was one of the beautiful farms he'd ever seen.
They've got stone burns over there, I mean brick silos.
Uh-huh.
The most amazing silos I ever saw.
God, oh, you've been over there?
I've been over there.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize where I was.
I would like to see that.
We gotta get you over there.
Yeah, I'd like to go.
That's one thing I'd like to do if you and your wife are willing, is come pick you up in the van
I'd love
and
to.
take the tape recorder and go down
I'd love to.
and go riding around with you so you can point at stuff and say, this is
Okay.
what happened. Would you be willing to?
Yeah.
I'd be glad to get out of the
And
house.
maybe we can arrange a trip to Cremona at the same time.
Okay.
Anytime you say, I'll be willing.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm sure Danny will be too.
Because
Anytime you say.
sometimes it's real helpful when you're right in the right place and you
Yeah.
say that's where this was.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it might jog your memory a little bit to
All right. Yeah.
get some other stories to come out.
Look, do they still have that whole fire engine in that barn?
Fire engine?
Yeah, they had a whole fire engine in the dairy barn. They kept it in there. They had that fire engine down there. Yeah, but you had to put it by hand. They had the tank and everything on it, and the bell on it.
I don't know if it's down there or not.
I bet it is. They will never get rid of that.
Did you ever use it?
Never using that while I was there. Never using that. Yeah, you never seen it?
No.
They used to keep it in the dairy barn now. Now they might have it up where they got that other old equipment and stuff. But I looked for it and I didn't see it because that's before I went when last time a downpoint formed. There's some of the old equipment there in the old stock barn.
Yeah, it might be that that's something they're working on because they're reconditioning all that old equipment.
I see.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and it might be in the conservator's shop.
Yeah, they got to fire you. They got to fire you then. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about some of the other equipment? Was it mostly gasoline?
Most of all, everything they had down there was gasoline power too. They had mill, they had to grind the corn, the feed, and mix the feed for the cattle. Most of all they had this stuff for the cow, for the mix for the.
You talked about filling the silo with corn. Where was that?
We tore the silo down. That was one of the tallest silo that I've most ever seen. And it was a wooden silo. It had this big iron band going all around to the top. And they had this machine set on the outside, and the farm out. When you bring the corn in, you take the corn off the wagon, and you put it in this machine, and you just pull this corn on in, and it grinds it up. And as it grinds it up, it have a hose running from a barrel to molasses. And they mix all this food with molasses. And it blows it up and it falls down in the silo. You get in the silo and you throw this around and walk it down.
That could be dangerous, couldn't it?
Yeah. No, you can't, because you see, those pipes where this green corn and stuff goes up the chute of this pipe, down on the inside, the pipe goes down on the inside. And so you can take the pipe, you see, you know what I'm talking about, and then as it fills up to a certain distance, well, they have windows on where you get in the window, and back of the windows would be stepped. That's how you walk back down. You see, when it gets up there to fill up there, you close that door, you lock it, you fill it up, then you take off a section of this pipe, you see, and make the pipe shorter as you get up. You understand what I mean? That's how they flow. So you don't get all stuck up with molasses, when you. I mean, they're not falling down on top of you. You know what I mean? Yes, because you got there's like a big stove pipe with a chain on it. You pull it around and spray the stuff, and that stuff is blowing on in there. Smells real good in there.
Oh, I bet. It sounds like it smells like breakfast. Corn cakes and
Yeah.
molasses.
And all this corn is green, Corn is green. The corn and the fodder, everything all mixed up right in there together. And then the molasses on every bit of it.
Those cattle ate well.
They eat good. The cattle really, really eat good.
They don't have those cattle there now.
No. So the cattle eat good. And this food is so warm. The weather real cold, in the wintertime. This food is so warm. Boy, you could warm, just like this. Burning on the stove. Yeah. And the cattle eat real good.
So on a typical day, you said you start down there at the dairy barn milking,
Yeah.
and then what would you do?
If it was in the field, if it was cultivating with anything, you know, anything around, mowing the weeds and stuff, or even say with a scythe or something, trimming underneath the fence, or anything to be picked up, anything. Work to do all the way from the big house all the way to the end of the farm. All the time, busy. Yeah, boy, hauling, doing something all the time. And cleaning, you gotta be cleaning all the time. All those cattle, and they gotta, especially the show cattle, you know, the show cattle, they had to be clean.
Did you ever, were they shown there at the farm, or did they ever take them away and show them?
They never, the one people had meeting there at the farm, but then people come look at the cattle, but they didn't show them, they'd take them away. Yeah, they most.
Did you ever go with them?
I only went one time, and they brought them to have some kind of carnival, something other, you know, back Penn Freddy or something other. And I went with the hounds and the horses and the cattle, 1 or 2 of the bulls. But I never went what you call with them, because Mr. Houghton went somewhere in other upstate New York to a cattle show, and he came back, and the fellow over Mr. Houghton named King, he was a lawyer, and he called Mr. Houghton. Mr. Houghton was telling me this, and said he called him and asked him, did you see anything up there you like? He said, oh yes, he said. I seen a bull up there, he said, I like. He said, why didn't you get him then? He said, and he told Mr. Patton, said, well, I didn't get him because he wanted $100,000 for him. And he said, Mr. King said, but you should have bought him. He said, that's what we sent you up there for. If you see something that you thought maybe was worth the money, and if it looked good enough, you should have bought it. He said, what, do you want to drive around for nothing all the time? But this one that they called, I know the bull, one of them they paid $10,000 for. And at the time, he just sold it as a regular beef cow. Yeah. They just sell it. They have to keep him a certain length of time. You don't do nothing about with him, just keep him in there and just clean him up and just take him out for sure, put him back in the pen. This money that's thrown away.
Yeah. You mentioned Mr. Harris.
Yeah, Mr. Harris is the gardener.
And he lived in that house by the old show barn?
By the old show barn. And he had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mr. Harris, he was a gardener, man. He worked in the garden. That's all he did. And his son didn't do anything because his son had asthma and he just didn't do nothing. And his son was a man. His son was a man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the house. That's the house you live in, you say?
That's the house I work in.
Oh, you work? Oh, you work?
That's my offices.
Oh, that's your offices.
We've got it all divided up into offices and the like.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
This is the house where Mr. Harris used to live.
Yeah.
That's an office different.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Real nice to have an office in a house like that.
I bet so.
The view out of those windows is just...
Yes, he got a beautiful view. Yeah, there, Mr. Harden house. He had black screen in the door. You can't see in those houses. Yeah, that house Miss Harden there.
Yeah.
I bet you right now they got black screen in the door, right in the window. You can't see it. You walk through the door, you can't see it.
Huh.
You can be sitting right there and there. You can't see. Only you can see, you open the door. There's a screen door. And you got black screen in your door?
No, just got regular screen.
Regular screen. I bet you next time you go down to that house, you notice that.
Does anyone stay in Patterson Home? Patterson Home.
Big enough?
Only when she comes. That's the only time anybody ever stays there. Is when she's here for a few days in summer and then maybe a few days in the fall.
Did you say I came in, or did you go in a big house? Did you?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, yes. I've been in.
Well, they would, but I don't guess would be on there now. But they used to have a kind of a board up there. I don't know what you call it. I guess it's bulletin board. Anyway, that you look on there if the Pattersons is coming home, you would know who to call to help, to work. So you could go there to the, Miss Sawyer or who not, and say, get this person, I want this thing done. They didn't look on look on this and see, like their name was on it.
My name is on it, but they're good workers. I used to work there. Once I went upstairs to clean, do some cleaning. I guess I was working too fast. My granddad was the lady sent me upstairs to clean. And I finished up there. I saw so many things that I just, just really drew my attention. I just watched it.
You know, the expensive stuff, they don't have a whole lot of stuff. But what they have is so expensive.
Before that, as far as I ever went was the laundry room. And the hole.
Right.
The hole that leads from the kitchen.
Yeah.
To clean it later.
Yeah. Well, even that kitchen, I was amazed by that kitchen with all
You know,
those two-sided glass cabinets.
Yeah.
Full of stuff. Make my head spin. Yeah, that's another world.
You know something? All the people, they got so much. They got so much that they don't know what to do with it.
You were born up this end of the county, near Breezy Point?
Yes, I bought right there. Just as you turn right on to this end of the Tobacco Road, just as you turn, go down to go to Breezy Point. Well, right to the, if you're going from here, right to the right.
Yeah.
Well, it's the black people there. My cousin owned the place. Live right there now, right on side of the highway. Well, that belongs to my father. And my father built his house, him and all his friends, they built it himself during 1928. And he didn't live no time. He used to live a year before he died.
Okay, go ahead. You say the whole place belonged to your uncle?
At first, but my uncle was a blacksmith. And he put shoes on horses, and mules and that kind of stuff, and fixed the wagon and so forth. Then he sold my father half of the farm. And my father built a house. Him and his friend come together and built this house himself. And he didn't live there no more than a year, not a year, and he died. And the Breezy Point had just began to open up. And the people were coming in down Breezy Point, building little cottages. And then they said that this was heir property, that it would have to be sold. I never could figure that out until years ago. Then I figured it out. You see, all those people coming down from the cities, and we were this little dirty black family right there, poor people living right there, and didn't want us right there. And so they said it was their property, and they had an auction sale. An auction sale now, this is the fact. And my mother had been working there in Baltimore, and she had them saved up a little money. I think it was $700. And she gave it to her fellow. She said, I don't know anything about an auction sale, nothing. And all the money, this is all the money I have. And so you can bid, put this up for it. So when the bid is much as $700, but she couldn't go over it. And this fellow by the name of Soper, Stone Soper, he bid over $700. I don't know how much. And he got the farm. He sold the cattle. He had the yoke of oxen, steers my father did, and the horses. So everything there on the farm. And Albert the young, Mr. Soper, he bought the stuff. And I am the youngest one in the family. And I don't know what I really got. What I did really get, then the people down the bank cheated me out because I never did know. And so Mr. Soper came down and told my sister them that I would have to work for him in order for the rest of them to stay in the house. So he's going to give me $3 a month. Now, I'm a little boy. I'm real little, and so I go work for him for $3 a month. I never seen a nickel. I haven't seen a penny yet from there. And so, one thing I got, Baby's candy first come out, so you can know how many years that was. He gave me a bar of candy. I was doing something outside, and he had a store and everything. Give me a big bar of Baby's candy, nickel bar of candy, chef, man, have it. 8, 9 inches long. So, that's the only thing I got. But they fed me real good. I had good food. But then they had this big house, and I had to sleep out in a little shed, a little building on the outside like a chicken house, looked like it used for cutting up meat or something, up on a high bench with some wheat straw on this table built thing, and then some kind of a bed thick covering or something over top of the wheat straw. There's spider webs and stuff all around. I had to sleep in there a little bit. But I eat at the same table they did after they finished eating. After they finished eating, the food was good, but I washed the dishes and I cleaned around in the house, And then Mr. Soper was going to learn me how to milk the cow. And so that's I wanted to do something to anyway. And he had the little, what you call a cup, little barnyard, little pen that they put the cows in overnight, in the state. And so I had to milk in a can, a quart can, and pour the milk in the bucket. So going down, I didn't notice, but when the lady, fellow Elijah, my first cousin, we used to play down at Bridget Point, down on the water. We could run up down there and they catch crab and play. And we played with some of those white boys we worked down there. And this lady took a picture of us. And she sent my picture back to the postmaster, which the man's name was Sam Bowen, the postmaster then. And she said, I want this boy. That was me. So he brought this down to my sister, and my sister told him to sit down. Well, you have to check with his mother. So he told this woman, and she went to Baltimore and seen my mother and talked with my mother, and my mother told her yes, that I could go with her. So when I go down to milk the cows this morning, here was this lady with her son, with her 2 sons, the oldest one driving the car, and they stopped and said, I come to get you, Dan. Your mama said that you can go with me. Want me to take you. And I said, when? See, I knew the boy. I played with him. See, but I didn't know her. I never seen her, but I know the boy, and then that was his mother there and his older brother. And she said, I want you to go with me. And I said, when? She said, right now. I said, okay. So I set them buckets outside that road. I guess them buckets still there. I never picked them up since. Oh boy, I lived in the richest section in Washington City. That is the fact. 5732nd Street. That was the richest place during that time within Washington. Do you know how to get there?
Yes. Yeah, I know where that is. Now I'm looking forward to going to see the house.
I want you to go to see the house, and I'll bet you the number is still on the round post. 5732nd Street. I'm telling you, and I was the only black in that house. But it was a real rich, they have the milk truck would come in the morning, early in the morning, but that milk truck was by, battery. And you didn't hear no noise, and it had the rubber tires on. You didn't hear no noise or anything. And those people would put that milk in your icebox, and you didn't even hear them. They were coming up the step. Didn't nobody steal nothing. Nobody still know. Put the milk, put the ice in the ice spot, and walk on down here and get in there and gone and do it. The milk, the ice, everything. But you come downtown, they had the horse and the wagon, plop, 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 all the big streets, they're making all that noise, bring the ice man, ring the bell, but not up there. Everything was so quiet. Yeah, that was.
What was your life like there?
It was. I just thought that I would just. This seemed natural to me there. It seemed like everybody should be living like that. Only at the time that they asked all the kids. There was so many kids. We played nighttime and all. We had stuff. We had everything. Sleigh. We had wagons. We had bicycles. We had everything. And then one day I got to thinking, they want to go to. They were all going to movies. This is something they want. All of these kids going to movies. And then they said that, is Dan going? And someone said, no, Dan can't go. And they said, well, why can't Dan go? Now, this is the fact. Well, why can't Dan go? He said, because, he's colored. And I said, he's colored? He said, that's right. Now, I'm listening now, I'm a little taking off. He's colored? Is that the only reason? Said, yeah. Well, let's put some paint on his face. Let's paint his face. Let's take it. And then one time, the children didn't know, But one thing that really got to me that I didn't like. Now, we used to sleigh ride. We would block off the street for the rich kids to sleigh ride on. You had barricades so that they would have so many blocks that they could sleigh ride on. And I was sleigh riding. We all had a sled. And we would sleigh all the way around about 2 or 3 blocks, all the way down across Nebraska Avenue. So, the car come through up next to Broad Branch Road and hit this dog. This is a German Shepherd dog. This dog was blind anyway. But it didn't really hit the dog. It kind of brushed up against him. And they called the vet. And the vet came down and ridden the dog, head and ears and all, and patting him and examining him all around. And he said, oh, he's all right. And he kept patting the dog, and then he told one of the fellows, what's he doing here? He said, you ought to chase him away. That's the doctor, man. And one of the boys said, no. See, he lived right there with us, with me. And he didn't say anything. Now, he's petting the dog, and we're gonna run me away, and then I gotta go to him and take his medicine. Well, it's a hateful world, isn't it? Some people, not all.
Are you still in touch with that family?
No. I see, those times they went to Atlanta. They used to rent cars. They had so many cars. They used to rent these cars out, And then last they went back to Atlanta, Georgia. But we went, I think with 20 years or 30 years. I guess with 30 years later, we went back into this section just to go to the house that I know. And we went to a house, I don't know the number of that house, but it's not far from where I lived at there. But it was on the opposite side of the street. And this lady was in bed. This old lady was in bed. And she got up, and I asked her, I said, do you know me? She said, yes. We used to call you Dan. That's 30 years later. And she went back, she said, come on in. And I wouldn't go in. And she called, at first now I went all through the house, playing with her children, giving a boy and a girl. And when she called her husband was a captain. He had one of his arms shot off. He was a captain in the army. And he was arms shot off. So she went and she called her husband named Captain Cookley. And she said, my name's Fred Copeland, but he was captain. And she said, Fred, she woke him up, and he came down, and he said, do you know him? Do you know him? And he wiped his eye. Yes, he used to live right there. Now, see, well, they could even remember me because I was the only black there. Yeah.
How long did you live there?
Oh, I was there for a good long time. I was there. I don't really know. I don't know. Then we went there, and then I lived downtown on 13th and H, right across from the Bell Telephone Building. Mm-hmm. And they had torn that building down. Last time I'd seen that, and it had a parking lot there. Right straight across from, I don't know where you know where that is? Bell Telephone?
Yeah,
Right, direct across from Bell Telephone Building on 13th Street and out there. Yeah. Well, right there, where we live on 32nd Street, and the President Hoover used to come through there. To ride through there often. I used to see him quite a few times. He was chauffeur.
Were you like a member of the family when you went to live there? When you went back that day, when they came and picked you up and you left your milk buckets, were you like a member of the family then?
Member what?
Of the family.
You milk me cow.
No, the woman that took you to Washington.
Well, I was a member of their family. Oh, yes. Yes, I was treated that, with them.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have to eat after them or anything like that?
I could eat. That woman girl, she would take me to the store with her, and she would, if I see anything I want, she would get it for me.
Why did you leave them?
I don't know. I would see when they would give me vacation and stuff above, when I'd get back in the country. So I rode on the train from Chesapeake Beach. See, the train that goes from Chesapeake Beach up there, we ride on the train back and forth to the district line to George Palmer Highway. They'd put me on the train, and they would come back and pick me up and all that. And, well, you know how children is, and, young people have to get a certain age, and then, oh, don't go back, don't go, and kept on. So I just stayed in the country, came down, and next thing I know, I met up with Itaver, and then, well, things changed. But I wish I had stayed, for a while longer. Yeah.
Did you go to school in Washington at all?
Nothing to speak of. I started in Timbertown. You know where Timbertown is?
No.
Well, you see, you get up, way up on Wisconsin Avenue.
Tenley Circle?
Yeah, for about Tenley Circle. You know Tenley Circle, yeah. And then all the way down from there, down by the Reservoir Road, all that down through there, all the way down to Kennedy Center, all that used to be Fergie Bottom. Did you remember that? Used to be Fergie Bottom.
Yeah, there's still.
It was called Fergie Bottom because it was through that strip, and that's where the black people lived all down through there. They had the churches, they had everything, and it was called Fergie Bottom. All down through M Street, all down by M Street Bridge, by Kennedy Center.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's why Kennedy built that building right in Fergie Bottom, they call it. It was small world, you come think about it, isn't it? Yeah. That's where the black used to be, right in that little strip of land, all the way running on. In Maryland, not too, up further there, across up there, where you run in the other end of Maryland.
Right.
Mm-hmm. On the side of Maryland. Yeah. And then we would attend school, only for a short time.
What was the name of that family, that woman that came and got you?
Holly, Hiley. Holly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Quite a story.
It is quite a story. I wonder what would happen to me if Danny had never came in the town. I would have never stayed in South County. I knew that. My mind was made up when I graduated from high school that I was going away. And I often wonder how I changed my mind. Why did I change my mind?
No.
Life takes Just through all kinds of television.
Yeah.
Oh, it really takes you. It takes you on a path where you have never planned for yourself. I never planned it, life to be like this. But since it did get this way that it got, I did the right thing to make it a success of life. That was my determination, to make a success. But I would have never stayed together.
Well, did you live in Washington?
I lived there for a while in high school in the late 60s.
Where about?
I lived right off Connecticut Avenue,
On Connecticut Avenue.
right just half a block off on a place called Ashmead Place.
Ashmead Place.
Before you cross Rock Creek.
Oh, yes. I see. Oh, yeah.
Was when I moved there.
Well, you're not too far from Sherton Park. Sherton Park Hotel.
No, real close. Just across the bridge.
Yeah, they across me for Sherton Park.
My sister lives right there now in the Dresden, right on Connecticut Avenue, that curved building.
Oh, yeah.
My sister lives there. The year I moved there, schools had just integrated. And,
Wow.
and I rode the bus over to Georgetown to go to school. And it was interesting. Looking back, of course, when you're a kid, you just accept what's going to
Yes,
you.
sure.
But looking back, I see that it must have. There were some big changes happening because that school was in Georgetown, and that was all white then.
Yeah.
But most of the kids attending the school were black, and they were busing in from Southeast.
God,
Because most
no.
of the people that lived there sent their kids out of the district. I didn't see what was going on right at first, but that was
No,
certainly.
I worked there up at that school later years. I worked at over that school.
It was called Western High School.
Oh no, I worked at Georgetown for the university.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's Georgetown. We're up on Wisconsin Avenue.
Right.
Up Wisconsin Avenue. I worked at that school. Yeah. Yeah, they up to remodel. Yeah.
And you worked at the Pentagon for a while too.
Worked at the Pentagon. Worked at the Pentagon for a while. And President Roosevelt was the president. And you couldn't, when you got a cup of coffee or something, you have to hide to drink it. You have to stand behind a column, don't let nobody see you drink it. Let me tell you the facts. If you were working with a carpenter helper, and then when on their coffee break, the carpenter could give you money to get coffee and donuts and stuff for them to eat around 10 o'clock. And would give you maybe 10 or 15 cents for you to get something for yourself. And then you couldn't stand it and drink it or eat it, you have to hide it. And then John Machine was a general contractor. He built a big cafeteria, big place. And the white would go in there and sit down on their coffee break and eat and drink. And the black was in this so cold, they had to stand outside by a window. And the people come and order this stuff through the window and they bring it to them. But Mrs. Roosevelt came out there and seen this. And she sent John Machine a message: if you're going to feed one, you'll feed all. So you either build a cafeteria to take care of all, or else we'll close down the job. Stop the job. So John Machine built a huge, big place, because there was so many people working at that place. It was so, I never seen so many people in my life working at a place. When on the break, you could come in and everybody could come in and sit down and eat. You could walk right around the line, just like a buffet style, and pick your food, but you can get your breakfast or whatever you want.
And so
Mrs. Roosevelt done that. Yeah. But first, yes, they do. And not only that, But that was all over Washington City. Wasn't like people think it was. But all over Washington City like that. We're building all those contractors. This late years it changed. You didn't want to give you no coffee break, but yet the electricians, the carpenters, the plumbers, all those people, they could stand up and talk, and they were getting paid more money and everything else. No white boy was a laborer during that time. And they could get a job anytime they wanted. They started off as apprentice. No white boy was a laborer, was apprentice. They were learning how to do this. That is the Lord's truth. They were learning how to be a carpenter. And if you work with an electrician, you learn how to be an apprentice electrician. But a laborer, all black was labor. Where they pushed the Georgia boys with concrete, where they digging a ditch, or whatever they did, they was labor. Whatever a white boy did in that time, he was apprentice. Tell that apprentice, come over here. Do you believe that? That is the fact. That's the fact. That's all over. Look like that.
What was it like working in the county here? I mean, did you ever work for a contractor here in the county? Or were you mostly working for...
Yes, I worked for let's see, well, on the house like me, North House. But when I left the Pentagon, they were building a Navy base, then that was much closer, down to Southern Valley. And they had a contractor from out of Tennessee. The name of this contractor was Elgin Blair. That was the roughest contractor you ever seen in your life. He would get the black and he worked down the road from Dow. He worked down this road from Dow, and he had a gate. And you stop at the gate, all of the black people they searched. Went through that gate, they searched their pocket. And they had a guard there, some of the guard with a gun, they searched their pocket. And the white people didn't do it. Yeah, this was, look, now, Mr.
We were children, but we were not allowed to go only down the shore and use the boat around. We didn't associate with no one in the town. We were kept a distance from everybody. Danny was the only person that played us. And I guess I was 15 then. When I met. We were kept secret from other people. And the great today, I just don't feel right. Being in the county, I don't mix with no one else. My own country.
Down there at Dow, when Elgin Blair were building this place, and they had an old fella, black fella, I can't he was a Johnson. His name was Seth Johnson, what is his name? Jude Johnson's father. And he was the water boy, and they had 2 buckets. They bring his water in, and they had a dipper in each bucket, and he had 10 cups hung around the bucket. And one bucket was black, and one bucket was white. It had the name written on it, white or black. And one of the fellows drank out of the bucket, and he said white, and he set the bucket down, one of the black fellows. And one who called me hit his eye, he with a hammer. That's right down here, Psalms on.
And he working too.
Yeah, he working. He working.
Well, they looking for trouble.
Well, but remember, you could do, see, they had everything, and you just, it was rough. And you have to work, you have to work.
What else you gonna do?
What can you do? You have to work. If you say anything, you can't take it to the law. Here we go. That's the fact. You couldn't take it to the law. Because it wasn't the law.
When you worked down at the Pentagon, did you stay in Washington or did you travel?
I came back.
Every day?
Every day, yes, we
You
came.
were married then.
We have been 41. Yeah.
How did you get back and forth?
Well, you see, we would have, we catch rides. We have rides. You paid, see, $1 a day. $1 a day. Well, last, then I had a car. Then I would charge them $1 a day. And, I could stop there. At, on Benning Road, Benning and South Calvert Street.
Mm-hmm.
Where Strip Boat is. You know where that is?
No. I know where Benning Road is. I don't think I've
Well, there would be a filling station there, and you could get gas there for 14 cents a gallon. Gasoline, 14 cents a
those
gallon.
were the days.
Yeah.
Going from that net, it's $3 a gallon, almost $3.
$1.14 a gallon is what I paid this morning. So you drove back and forth then? And
Back and forth.
So then you drive down to Solomon's too.
No.
You were living in the county.
Yeah, I live here. Yeah, I live in the county. I working at the Pentagon. Yeah, and then we drove down Solomon too.
What were the roads like then?
The road, it was all right. Everything was made to do what it's supposed to do. Cars then could go through snow better then than we could now because the wheels were taller and everything, and we had tires to do that. And you couldn't drive it so fast because the cars couldn't go but so fast. I mean, but you could make it. Yeah, you could make it.
Route 4 was all paved in the,
oh,
in
yes.
the 40s?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, this road right here, before I was born, was paved.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was the main road that's just out here. Main highway, number 2 highway. All the way down. Solomon.
Did you ever go up to Annapolis much?
Well, here lately I go up there, but
In the early days?
before I never did go up there much. I didn't know anything much about that.
Mm-hmm.
Never bothered.
And you talked about taking the train from Chesapeake Beach.
Yeah, to George Palmer Highway up there, to Washington, yeah. It around about 60 cents, 60 cents to travel up there. But it took you so long, you could beat it on a bicycle. They don't take so long. It went by cold. You couldn't put your head at the window to see anything. Down the cold dust would get in your eyes. Oh, boy. Well, it was something, though. That's the way we travel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it would come all the way into Chesapeake Beach?
Come all the way down to Rod and Reel.
Uh-huh. Right where that station is now?
Right where that station is now. That's where we come. Right down to that place. Yeah. Right there. Yeah. So it was something. The other thing, run by cold. It would stop so often, you see.
Yeah, there was a tomato cannery up in Owings. Do you remember that?
Not up in Owings, but down Solomon.
A tomato cannery in Solomon?
Uh-huh.
Where was that?
That's this. What do you call it? After you pass Dial Road, going down to Solomon Island, and where they got that shopping center to the left.
Yeah.
We got all them buildings there. Before you get, right there, and on this end of that shopping center, I think it was the brick, we would turn right in through there.
And that's where the cannery was?
With a cannery there, a place where they can tomatoes and that kind of stuff. And the man bought this place. Now you probably know the man that bought this place, and he might still own it. You ever heard of Sam Car Wash? Sam Car Wash on Branch Avenue? Where you go get your car wash?
No.
And he have a fish and tackle place there and everything. Well, he bought this place. He's really a nice fella. He got this place, and so just a few years ago, he remodeled it. He just did some more work to it, but just like it was, but old rough lumber, less more antique, and it still got some of that old stuff in it. He left it in it. The can of machinery stuff with the cans and stuff in was still in the building. He left that in there. And he had his boat, and he used to because he wanted to take me a boat ride. I was fishing on his boat. And so we bought the man, he owned it. You ought to know the Sam Car Wash that on Branch Avenue.
The camp place?
You know where Marlow Heights is.
Yes.
You go to Marlow Heights and you go up Branch Avenue before you get to, it's just a little before you get to Southern Avenue.
Yeah.
Just a little before you get to Southern Avenue, be to your left, you have a car wash there. Yeah. And then right beside the car wash, he had his big fishing type of store. So he bought that old tomato factory. Now, we still got it now, not, I don't know, but a few years ago he still owned it.
I have a question that I'm not even quite sure how to ask it. Your wife was talking about being raised, when she was raised, keeping to themselves. The family kept to themselves and only went out by water. Do you have much of a sense of that? I know you moved around a lot, so your story's a little bit different. But did you have a sense of little separate communities?
Yes, because people would be the black and white is no different in people. You get a light-skinned white black person, a lot of them, I don't say all of them, a lot of them, people are just a little step higher than a real black person. And that's why people keep separate. They're trained to do that. They did that in the church, of the black churches down here. You take like Brown Point Church. Now that used to be, I think, white church. And it wasn't no different when it was a black church. You see, when it was a white church, you see, when it was a white church, the black people went there, too. But they had this place up over here we call the gallery. Yeah. The black people go up there and sit. When they turned it over to the black church, they had usher in church, and they would tell the people where to sit. The light-skinned people sat there, and the black people sat back. That is, and it always had. And the same thing in the school. That's why the black people doesn't have no education. The real white children got the education. The black children bring in the wood, the sets back behind, and if they got to them, they got to them. You didn't teach yourself, you didn't get taught. And
the teacher did not take interest in it.
They didn't take interest in it, they were trained that way, and you take the doctor, like Dr. King, they come back and they'll, I don't know, they got it raised. They got it raised that way. They got it raised that way because the light-skinned kid was kin to somebody.
I don't say that they're kin because the white didn't treat you like that.
The white families didn't own
you.
Right.
But you treated your own self determined.
Black people treat their own self that way.
And real colored people felt as if they didn't measure up, so they let go. But the real light people were striving to go forward, and they made the grade to go forward, and they paid. But the real colored person, real dark colored person, had it against their own self. They wasn't measuring up, and they treated themselves like that. But it didn't work out at all. There was no justice. There was no justice in the county. Both colors
and among the South. I mean, black people did a lot of things against themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
Because real light color person didn't do anything to hurt the color at all. They done it to hurt their own self.
But back in those days, some of the blacks were better off, and it was what it is right now.
I think there were times real dark holiday realized that they wasn't going to get but so far, and they gave up.
I mean, they never stopped giving up. They give up. That's all they did. You take the black and they had stores. They had beer garden. They had a little hotel. You know, little place that people could stay. They had business of their own.
Yeah.
And they,
and
and then
they didn't have it before.
Then you know what? Black hat land on. We had black had land on water. It's everywhere. Black had land on water, but black done it to their own self. They sell this for no money, and after you won't sell it, and I've been trying to tell you, if you sell it, you can't get it back. No matter where you can buy it back. And see. Black doesn't have to complain about that much because he done that to himself. Now there's one black fellow that had his business and he still got his business. He just look good. Is that the William Smith down to Leslie. Now he didn't have no children, but he left it to the boy that he raised. He raised one boy. He left it to him. Now anyway, and he's taking care of that place. And he still ran it. He still got the buses, all the school buses, and he had the store and everything there, and it really is nice. All the back land, the farm, kind of stuff. Now he had a business, but up this way, the black got rid of all this stuff. Now here in Penn Frederick, now Johnny Stade had a beer garden, you know, did Melvin Stade, you know, go down 231, a little rundown check, but only reason why they had rundown place, only reason why they had that wouldn't, Mr. Arthur Dow had a big hand in that. He was one of selling the boot. Mr. Arthur Dow was getting the money for that bootleg whiskey. You see, that's why they never was closed up. But the rest of the black people, they had a lot of stuff, but they sold it. They left their home, they sold their home, but then they moved away to city because and that kind of place. And sometimes they didn't fault them during that time because there was no work, there was nothing all down here for them to do. They were forced to do a lot of stuff. You know, that's the fact of the fort.
That piece of 231 where Stewart's Beer Garden was and all, that used to be almost all black communities, wasn't it? From the Mason Road on down to Barstow where Fairway Chapel was.
Yeah. There used to be a lot of black, but you see, it's never been too much work. There's not many blacks in Calvert County. But you see, at first it was more black because they were Austrian, Chuck Austrian, that's the only kind of job they had. And,
but as they grew up,
they
would have to move away to find work. And that's when it made conditions gotten like it is.
And if some people got the land, you'd be surprised the land that Mr. Ben Perrin got for nothing, but farm that black used to own.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised the big farm down the road that black used to own.
The same way down in Maples. All those houses was mostly colored down there. There's only one color house down there. Yeah. And then, when I was a child growing up, you could stand in the yard and talk to neighbors. But you can't do that now. It's discouraging. It's discouraging to you.
It wasn't nothing. It's okay. It wasn't nothing all down there for them to do.
No, so they had to go away.
They had to go to do it. And then, just like when you did do something down there, you didn't get the right salary, you didn't get the right pay, you didn't get the right pay to take care of your family, and so they had no other choice.
You didn't have no other choice.
So it's nothing. It's okay. But things works and everything is on the merry-go-round anyway. You know, it'll come around. You know. Well, nothing stays the same.
That's the truth.
Nothing stays the same. So you can't get mad about it. Nothing.
You know, I don't get mad, but I just wonder.
Only thing I didn't like when they sold that place.
But down home,
That was one of the worst mistakes.
you know,
I would have stuck it out to me. Now, if I had any say, I have told Octavia and her sister I wouldn't do that.
you know,
I would have stuck it out until I found out I couldn't,
sticking the thing out is one thing. You can easily say. But doing another thing is different. You got to do. I and my sister paid tax down there for 1 year. Now, the rest of the family denied they were not going to pay no tax. Now that the place is sold, they come up and say, you shouldn't have sold it. We would have.
Well, really what it would be, if I would have paid the tax if I had paid it by myself.
Oh, you couldn't.
Because the tax wasn't all that much.
You couldn't.
No.
I know.
But if they did sell the place, well, if that tax that you had paid, you would have got a benefit for that. If you had sold the place and you had spent so many years in paying tax by yourself, and you would have benefited from paying the tax. But onto that place, the many people in that family,
There was none of them willing to pay tax.
they didn't make no difference. Them that were willing to do it, should have. I would never have sold that place.
We did it for 1 year.
I would have never sold it.
Yeah.
Because that was the last place on the water that the black owned on St. Louis Creek. On St. Louis Creek. That was the last place, and it was a beautiful spot. I would have never sold it if I had went home.
Easy to say that, but saying a thing and doing it is two different things. Doing a thing is true, but saying a thing is different.
It's hard to hang on.
Yeah, it's hard too. When you connected with a lot of people and the family, and most all of them go out of it and say, no, I'm not going to pay. That's what they always say.
Well, see, they were in the city. I gave her sisters and brother, and she had one brother down in Lawrence, where he got through. He didn't do
He had a
nothing.
house on the place, and he wasn't still paying no tax. And
That tax is a small skimpton. It was,
now it's not small.
Now it's huge. I'm
It's
sure.
huge. It's not small anymore.
well, naturally you were going to pay. Well, naturally you were going to pay no tax anyway. You can still do that. For that concern, now I listen to a lot of news. Black pay no tax and white anyway. And they said, and that's in every state in the United States except one place, and that's Mississippi. And the Mississippi state pays, the white pays 3% more tax than black. That's every state, and for tax going to always be high on you. I don't care where you go. Right now, you'd be surprised how high tax is on. When I first moved here, my tax, I had more land and everything with $11 a year. Now it's $1,000 a year. You see, in the tax, if Mr. Ben Payne would pay tax to call, Mr. Ben Payne's daughter would pay tax, is calling me what I have to pay tax for this. All I got is in this food, about an acre. She'd be broke tomorrow morning. She got 3,300 acres of land. Now, if she paid $1,000 for every spot of land as big as I got here in my yard, she'd soon get broke. You see, you don't.
Agricultural rate.
Yeah, it's a racket. It is a racket. It is a racket. Yeah, they said, don't worry about tax. You're going to pay the tax anyway. That's all it is. Don't take it for nothing. You're going to take it anyhow.
They'll take it from you. They'll put the tax bill up so high you can't pay it.
I don't understand hardly anything.
And
They'll tell you what the building, you take a black person, they go to build a house. They'll say you can't build here because it's wetland. And you have the people that inspect the land, so you can't build on this spot because it's wet land. And they have it all tested. And the people go around the beach, at the beach, they done drove the muskrat out of their house, and they live in the muskrat house. They build that in the marsh and everything. Yeah, and put up all these buildings. It's a racket world.
Do you think we should have sold that place down there? Is the four of us paying tax?
I would be a fool to judge. You know, my family let some property go.
But you're going to lean toward to what I said, though.
In my heart, you know, of course. I wish you had been able to hang on to it. And I wish my family had hung on to our land, too.
It's hard to say what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And there are lots of pressures when it comes down to the moment of sale. You've got all these people offering you pie in the sky and saying how much easier it will be.
But I know now that the tax we paid the tax that year.
That was a tax, honey. I wouldn't talk about it, baby.
Tax had really gone up. That was 10 or 11 years ago. So that tax bill had really gone up. I could never have paid it. I could never have paid it. I was alone. And my sisters, the two sisters.
Good sisters, you know.
One of them is sick in the hospital, been sick there for 9 years. Another one died. Who would have paid it? We would have lost it. It was a losing thing. I could never pay it another year. I was working at the time, and I kept paying tax.
That's hard.
It's hard. When you got a thing,
you know, I have a sister from New York, one of the sisters from New York. She came down here, and when I did have three more other sisters down here had home, and she came down, didn't have any home or anything. You know, she wanted a home, and so she and I tell the guy, she talked to the family, was selling the place, and so we sold the place, and it worried her so much until she never even got a chance to spend her money. She been sick practically ever since. She never spent it. She didn't spend none of her money. She was so sorry that she sold the place. And she's right in the hospital right now. I'm not in the hospital, in the nursing home. And she don't even know her own sister or brother or nobody. She don't even know no one. She got so hurt. After they hurt her so that she practically lost her mind. After she talked the family into selling the place. And never spent any nickel of her money. You know, but that's okay. You're not going to keep it all the time, no way.
Yeah, like you say, everything changes.
Everything changed. Everything changed.
Nothing stays the same. We would like to do things different, but somehow or another, there is some reason why you can't do things different.
If I tell the brother had did right. Now, he had the full city, stayed right there, and they were living there all the time. He had did right, but he was so wrong.
How home on the place?
He was so wrong, and the sister beat, and he beat all his sisters and brothers, and had a place there, and he called it his place, and he had a business. He sold crab, and he sold beer, and he did this, and tax shouldn't have been a problem. And not only that, one of his sisters came down, and she needed some money, and she sold her share of land out to him just to get some money to buy something to drink or something. She sold it out to him. One of the brothers, the younger brother, he got in some kind of trouble, and Lawrence, I think the older brother, he paid his fine for $75 for his share of property, and then when the boy got back and on his feet went to pay the money, he wouldn't take the money back, and he kept it. And then for tax and concern, so that's why we get taxes. But I mean, for tax concern, he should pay all the tax because he had 3 shares down there. You see, but the thing didn't. Like I said, what goes around come around. Now, he didn't have but one son. And that's all he had, one son. And now he's getting old. He's way up, what he did now. He was way up in his 80s. So he signed the 3 shares over to his son. And what happened, you see, like we were just talking about what goes around, come around. He signed it over to his son. Son had never been married. Son had 2 daughters. And the son died before he did. And the 3 shares, when they sold the place, they did have known what was going to happen. They were never sold the place. Because the 3 shares went to these 2 girls that we don't know too much about. You know? His son 2 children. 3 shares that land went to them. You see, if Louis had done right, tax wouldn't have been no problem.
It would have been a problem. Because
Because he's been right, it would have been a problem.
In the end.
yes, it would have been a problem because taxes went up, constantly went up every year.
No, but what I'm talking about, if everybody did what they're supposed to do, that boy, you know, Lawrence had 3 shares down there.
Right.
It wouldn't have been no tax problem. Lawrence had 3 shares down there and he had a business. He's supposed to pay his part of tax. Then if Lawrence had to buy it himself first, his son was supposed, because he would have had 3 shares. But what happened for the best, the son died first. Then the son died first, but Lawrence didn't have nothing.
Right. Nothing at all.
No, he had nothing at all.
And didn't have nothing.
See, you know what I'm saying? It comes
He had a
around.
home on mama's property.
You see?
Life's funny.
Life is funny. You gotta.
And he was worth it. Somebody's gonna believe it.
Yeah, you gotta think these things over. I tell you, you jump too fast. Yes, it happened, and it happened in the best way.
I'm not gonna worry about it.
No.
No, I'm not gonna worry about something that I cannot change.
Well, I think this is probably as good a place to end as any. This has been quite a long session.
Yes, it has.
Thank you very much
Well,
for
that's all right.
sitting here through all this. Any last comment here before I turn this off?
Well, I'm glad you came, and thank you for coming. Thank you very much. I think everything will be all right in the end.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. He Grover and I, you know him?
Yeah, I know Pete Grover.
Yeah, I saw him yesterday. We'll get to the water. We'll go fishing anyway.